Hey everyone, sixth video for a movie a day, and I'm a fifth away through the month, and I'm starting to get nervous because I'm running out of movies that I actually want to watch. Um, Turn on HBO, and I'm looking through the list, and I see B movie, the DreamWorks movie with Jerry Seinfeld, came out in 2007. It's an animated, um, so I thought, why not try it out? And you would think it'd be like a really easy movie to review because it's like a kids movie. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. It's such a stupid premise. All right, and the trailer doesn't really go through anything. It pretty much just lets you know that Jerry Seinfeld's the bee, and he starts talking to people. Which, like, the first person like kind of freaks out, like, oh my god, like a bee is talking, and then every human after that's like, oh no, this is fine, this is normal, and it's not only the bees that talk; it's all insects throughout the entire world that talk. And Jerry, the bees talking to all these other different insects, and like, I don't know. Okay, so right off the bat, so I'll give them that one. All right, it's an animated movie. Sure, bees can talk. We had, animals talk in a bunch of different movies. Fine, I'll give you that. Okay, so Jerry, his character's name's Barry, so we'll call him Barry. Okay, Barry the bee. Barry lives in the hive with his parents. Although, if you know anything about bees, there's only one queen, and she gives birth to all the bees. So technically, they're not his parents. But again, we'll give him that. That's fine. We'll move past it. But he lives with his parents, and he's explaining that the first couple minutes of the movie, they since a bee's life is shorter than a human's life, they have obviously shorter spans of certain parts. So I'm assuming he was born. Then he says 3 days of grammar school, 3 days of high school, 3 days of college, and one day he toured the hive, which is, probably like the college equivalent of, going across backpacking Europe, something like that. So he's been alive for 10 days, let's say. And, he graduates school and he immediately goes into the workforce, and he has this real big list of stuff that he has to do. And it all has to do with making honey. And right off the bat, I call BS because they have cars, they have televisions, there's furniture. Like, they really humanize the bees. And that's fine, that's perfectly fine, but then, like, keep everything consistent. Keep it consistent. Don't say that everyone works for the hive. Say that, like, well, obviously you need a television repair guy if you're going to have televisions, right? So what, you have like television school, you have electrician bees that you have going around. There's mechanic bees, obviously, because they all have cars, even though they can fly. I don't know why they have cars, but Barry's excuse was that, oh well, it just takes less energy to drive around. Okay, that's fine. What gasoline are you using for the cars? Are you just using honey? They use honey for everything else. This is what they use honey for. They use honey for sunscreen. They use honey for mouthwash. They eat the honey. They drink the honey. They use it as hair gel. They use it as cologne and deodorant. They use honey for everything. Okay, I get that. They're bees. That's kind of the joke. All right, they use honey. Great. But I think they just humanize them too much. It's too much. You kind of, because then what happens is Barry goes out into the world with some other bees that are collecting pollen and nectar, and he's like, oh wow, like a tennis ball. What's this? You've never seen a tennis ball in your life? Seriously? You have CNN on your TV, and like in the hive, and you've never seen like a match at Wimbledon or something? BS. I don't believe it. And so he's flying around, and then he gets stuck in one of the apartments of this one woman who he starts talking to, and he bumps into the window, and he keeps bumping into the window. And obviously the joke is that, yeah, bees like constantly bump into windows because they don't realize that it's glass. But they have televisions. That they already have glass. The television has a glass. It has glass and it has electronics in it, so he obviously knows how it works. And he flies towards the light bulb because he thinks it's the sun. He's like, oh, I don't remember the sun having 75 on it. Ha ha ha! Isn't that funny? But BS though, BS. They have electronics. They know what lights are. They know how electricity works. They're humanized bees. So you either go all with it or none with it. You pick one, you stick with it. But they don't. So the main plot of the movie is that Barry finds out that honey is being sold in supermarkets and all that stuff from this huge like bee farms, and they have like the fake hives. And they bring the queen in, and the whole hive has to come with, and they just farm this honey. And Barry sues the honey conglomerate corporations, I guess, whatever. Which, again, BS, because he's been alive for, let's say, 13 days now, and he understands the legal system of the United States. Yeah, no, I call BS. There's like 5 years of law school that you have to go through before going through like whatever 18 years of pre-law education. So again, no, I call BS. I don't know how that would work, but apparently he reads up on the legal system and he sues the conglomerate in name of all bees in the entire world. By the way, this one bee is supposed to be representing the entire bee population. Which, if I were a bee, I'd kind of be pissed off, because I don't want this one guy speaking for me. Not to mention, he's not supposed to be speaking to humans in the first place. It's a bee rule, which apparently is one of the rules that they learn in the 9 days that they go to school. So they sue the corporations, and a very short legal battle. They win, and Barry's like, I don't know, 19 days old now. And so they win the right to take back all of the honey. So obviously all the hive jobs are gone because they don't need any more honey because they've gotten all this honey. They have gallons and gallons of honey. So now everyone's just sitting around the hive. Again, BS. There has to be transportation. You have to still distribute the honey, deliver the honey. There's no quality process for the honey. It's all pure honey. You're not adding anything to it. It doesn't need to. I'm sure that there's certain honey things, and this is all like American, like corporate honey. So obviously there's additives in that. It's not pure honey. It's going to be different than the honey that they're making in the hive. So I wouldn't want that honey. I'd want the honey that I would be making myself. And all these, so everyone's kind of like moping around because they don't have anything to do, because apparently that was the only point of being in this hive, was to just create honey. That's the think bee. That's whatever, and that's it. So everyone's like really pissed off, and they're just sitting around and they don't know what to do because they don't need any more honey. They don't need to work anymore. And meanwhile, everywhere outside, all the plants are dying, all the flowers are dying because there's no pollination anymore, because obviously the bees aren't flying around anymore to get the honey, to get the nectar. So everything is dying. The trees are dying, the grass is dying, all the flowers are dying, which, again, BS. Bees aren't the only ones that pollinate. Butterflies, moths, types of ants or wasps, they all pollinate. All these other things that don't have to create honey, they're still going around and they're still pollinating flowers. All the flowers aren't going to die just because the bees are on strike. It doesn't make sense. But again, apparently for this movie, they had to completely just throw out all other insects and all other type of common sense, apparently, just to make this work. So end of the movie comes around, and they come to an agreement. They have to go and get the last flowers on Earth from the Rose Parade, and they're flying it back, and the pilots get knocked out or something. This was probably the last straw, and I just thought that this was ridiculous. So the airplane's flying back, and the pilots get knocked out, so Barry has to fly the plane. He's like, well, I've had 20 days of flying experience because I'm a bee. Oh, okay, that makes sense, except that you don't know anything about flying an actual airplane, Barry. Stupid. And so he calls up all these other bees on his antennas, because apparently that's a phone. Their antennas work as a phone. That makes sense. Okay. And so millions of bees come and hold up this airplane and fly it in. Again, BS. It's a few tons of an airplane. It's like a 747 that they're holding up. There's 3 aisles across the entire plane. There's no way that these bees are holding up the plane. BS. And they landed on this bee-shaped or flower-shaped bee thing on the runway. Okay, great. And then they go and they pollinate everything, and they're spreading the pollen around, like powder against all these dead flowers, and then they just magically spring back to life. That's not how it works. That's not how anything works. So, fantastic movie. I enjoyed it a lot. It was really fun to watch. Obviously a kid's film, so it's a good one for the young ones. So I'd say, 7.1 out of 10. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next installment.